Hey guys, I'm Anshul. I'm the co-founder of Equally. So the problem that we have with technology today is that kids are having a very passive experience. They interact with it by themselves. An example of that is YouTube Kids. But technology, if used properly, can actually enhance cognitive development really quickly if we focus on collaboration and engagement with the environment. So what we are doing is we're building an augmented reality platform that helps children become active learners. Basically, Pokemon Go meets Khan Academy. I was at Zynga for 8 years. I was a product manager. I was on the machine learning team and an engineer. My co-founder, Arjita, she ran a school where she taught English to Indian Army Jawans to little kids. She went to do her social entrepreneurship at HealthTech. Faranak is a game designer and a developer and has shipped 3 AR titles. Hitesh is a senior deep learning engineer. Our journey started in 2014 when we started talking on how do we scale what Arjita was doing in her school in India. We registered for the Global Learning X Prize. That was a competition to create software that can teach any child basic literacy and numeracy without the aid of any teacher or school. We put in our $50,000 from our savings, got developers on board, tested it with the apps in 2016, and that's where we got our biggest insight. The students told us, do you have something else? Something that is fun like Temple Run. And that's when we realized that learning apps without fun will not work because children have a lot of options these days. In 2017, we changed our design and created this loop which really worked and which got us to the semifinal of this competition, which was that you have to learn, you have to complete these activities before you get to play. So the economy is powered by you learning, and that design did really well in that competition. Start of this year, we came full-time on our startup. This is our advisory board. We have Marcus Siegel from Zynga, Alan Greenberg, he was a former head of education at Apple, Avery Kent for our social impact initiative, Mike Zaida, who is a pioneer in virtual reality and virtual environments, and Chris Swain has developed one of the original massively online games for Microsoft, Sony, Disney, when internet and computers were getting mainstream. The market size for the learning apps is $8 billion. Of that, the early childhood, which is ages 3 to 6, is $1.7 billion, and that alone is worth $200 million in US. Early childhood happens to be the fastest growing category within this section. Our target customers are parents who want to save time, parents who grew up on technology themselves and want the best technology for their kids, but they want to make sure when they're spending that time, they're spending the time on something useful and they're learning. Getting feedback from around 100 to 150 interviews, one unanimous feedback that parents gave us was that they want the child to not just stick to that tiny screen. Kids forget the world around them and they only focus on that screen. That was the biggest problem that all parents told us. So our solution very elegantly solves that problem. Parents want kids to learn while they're spending time, and kids want to play the game that is as fun as any other game. So that's what we're doing. We have a game where you have to collaborate, and that's how we get virality. Kids have to work with other kids to unlock all the animals. I want to show you quickly a demo of what we are doing because it's really hard to sort of visualize what this experience looks like. And if you see, our art is very important to have the right art for this age group because that's what drives. So big eyes are really important. So what do we do with this information once we recognize and we understand what's the world around a child? Let's say the aim to unlock all the pets, you have to complete tasks. And one of our tasks is find a food item in your house. Let's say the child searches and finds a lemon. We take that lemon and layer in other information on top of it. Because the world is not broken out by subjects. We just happen to break that out in subjects. The world is filled with information. So if you see lemon, you can teach them about nutrients, their taste, the color, and what else is yellow, what else tastes are, and that's how we start building the knowledge graph on our platform. While the child is learning, we build unique profile. which gives a unique perspective for each child's learning progress, which is really what our defensibility is. This gives us an opportunity to now design and build applications that the child is going to use when it sort of gets out of the 3 to 6 years of age. We eventually want to teach them more complex subjects like physics, Newton's second law of motion. An example of that is we tell them to identify two things from their environment, one light, one heavy. Let's say they identify an apple and watermelon. We bring that into the AR world and let them apply the same force, and they can see that apple moves much faster and the watermelon moves much slower because of the mass. So we teach them from what they're seeing and their experiences. So all the experiments that YouTube is filled with, they can actually do those experiments in augmented reality in their houses. So that's our vision. This is not part of the first phase that we are in. Why now? Well, Apple and Google have entered the market. They've commoditized augmented reality, depth sensing, so you don't have to do that. Deep learning with all the frameworks Google is releasing in the cloud and TPUs, you don't need a giant computer vision team. It's very quick. It's very easy to build that computer vision algorithms, which we have done. In terms of how do we rank with everybody else in the market, if this is, there are two indexes, fun and educational. Most of them do well either on the fun index or on the educational index. And we are on the rightmost, where it's both fun for the child and it's educational. If you see Khan Academy, great platform, but it's not fun. Watching videos is, again, somewhat passive. It doesn't involve you. Pokemon Go doesn't teach you anything, but it's a great game. ABC Mouse is one of our top competitors who have raised $150 million, and it's sort of right in the middle. They're actually called abcmouse.com, so they had the early mover advantage from the internet website, and they just put all that content on the app, and they have had that advantage for a very long time. So we market directly to parents. Our basic subscription is $15 a month after a week of free trial. After the subscription sort of drop off in conversion rate of 20%, the eCPIs come out to be $20, and we estimate the LTVs to be $225. Once we get this application to become the Trojan horse, we want to have other modules that we sell on top of that, which would cost additional. An example of that would be a specialized historical figures package where they pay $100 just for that. But we're not going to get into that in the first year. That'll be beyond the first year. Our distribution, apart from being really highly social, is incentivized referral model. What that means is the aspiration that the child has to unlock all the animals, the parent can actually help the child by bringing in other parents in, something that we used to do at Zynga a lot, which helps you get the viral factor even higher. And second is the user-generated content. We focus a lot on whatever the child is doing, we record that into media and make it available for parents to share. Parents love to share what their child is doing. We're just tapping into that behavior to get more free users from the ecosystem. Another thing we're doing is it's very essential for us to get the game right and fun and make it fun. For that, that's the reason why we've taken our co-working space inside the Bespoke. It's in the Westfield Mall. What that allows us to do is there's this constant flow of parents and children coming into the mall, which allows us to get very immediate feedback. They close down shops on the weekend, that we open the shop over on the weekend, and a lot of parents come in, and we get feedback from that very quickly. We launched the MVP metrics from the app that we had in the competition. We launched it on the app stores. We got 12,500 users. We put a paywall to see if people are going to pay for it. We got 50 paid customers, 80% subscriber retention. This is obviously super high. We would love to have this at scale. Small cohort, but sort of proves the heat there. So we're raising $750K right now to build the AR gameplay, the object detection algorithm, and the parents' feedback module. 22% of that is going to be marketing. We want to reach 5,000 paying customers with 10% month-over-month growth. Our plan is to do a soft launch in 3 months with 2 months of content, do a US launch with 6 months of content in 6 months, add the parents module in 9 months, and then do a worldwide launch, which includes European countries, Australia, China, UAE, which is a big market, and in 12 months. Next, we'll obviously start doing our fundraise because that's how long it's going to last us. And that's what our expenses, and this is obviously an estimation, what it looks like. We're going to start our marketing spend in January once our application is live. This is the assumptions we are making. We are expecting the viral factor to be 30%, which will lower our cost of acquisition. conversion rate of 20%, anything higher would be great, and D30 retention of 60%, and CPI of $6, which I'm sure we can optimize a little further. Thank you.
Awesome, this is pretty cool. I think a couple of questions. One is, when kids are playing your game, is it a shared screen situation where they're using their parents' phone or an iPad to do it, or is it their own thing?
They're using iPads or iPhones.
Well, it's generally their parents.
Correct, that's right.
Because that's an important factor, because what we've seen in other edutainment products is when the kids start having their own screen, the payment part becomes harder, right? If it's they're using their dad's and mom's phone, it's easy for the parents to actually pay because it's their account. When kids get older and they use their own thing, then it becomes harder. So that's an interesting part, and that's actually what I like. The second part is, you mentioned that it's fun to use this product. I think it's fun as long as the numbers suggest so, which is in terms of engagement with the product and how that retention is going on. And you've assumed 60% retention on the 30-day?
That's subscribers.
Subscriber retention, right?
Yes.
So do you have any kind of early engagement data around how much are users engaging with this, and how is that tapering with time?
Yeah, so that's why we put subscription retention, because that's what really matters, who converts into a subscriber, because there's a free trial and then whoever doesn't. And that's what we're targeting it to be 60. We're seeing 80. We should probably land at 60 at a scale. And we've seen this with sort of other leaders in the market, that subscribers actually, there's a drop off who converts, but then the curve is very flat. Because once they subscribe, they don't they hopefully keep using it, but also they a lot of times just let it go, because it's such a small amount. For even if they use it just once a week in a month, it's $15 is not, or even that cost is not too much for the parents. For the child, that's going to be engaged for some time.
And are you charging on an annual basis or a monthly basis?
Monthly basis.
Got it. Okay.
Very interesting and novel, and a great presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
I liked your slides. So first question which just comes off is, you mentioned that ABC Mouse is a big player, well-funded and all that stuff. There's nothing wrong in being a Me Too player, as long as the market is, there's been a big enough market for players to come in. What is your competitive edge or your secret sauce? How do you differ from them? Is it in the content? Is it in the graphical user interface? Ease of use?
Both of them. So first is, their application is 2D. It's the feedback that we've got from parents. It takes them 30 minutes to understand their platform themselves and then explain it to their kids. So user interface is definitely going to be our advantage. Secondly, it's going to look 10 times better than what they have. They're still on 2D. We're not talking about 3D. We're talking about augmented reality. The most important part that you said was the content, and that's one of the risks, one of the challenges, and we have to address it properly. What we do is we make sure we design it in a way that the content is not good for just one-time consumption. We encourage mastery. What that means is the same content is used multiple times because it's harder, and you have to master it to go forward. So that allows you to create one content and make it used 10 times more than one-time consumption that ABC Mouse is doing. And that's what they're very proud of, and they have a very good pipeline.
And just a comment, I don't know how hard it is to sell to parents, but have you looked at selling to Montessori's or childcare centers? Might be, a little bit more focused sale.
Definitely. We, on purpose, are going for consumers because it's actually strategic, because most of these parents sit on PTAs of these schools. So our aim is to actually influence that buying decision from there. And gestation period for schools is really slow. I think we see ourselves actually selling to them, but we don't want to sort of make a business, B2B business, just for that, because the gestation period and when they decide to get in and use the platform is only August, once a year. So we want to get there, but not right now.
The reason I said that is the churn is low there, because there could be new kids coming in every year.
Definitely.
But once the kids reach a certain age bracket, the parents are going to terminate the subscription.
Definitely, yes. So yes, but we are just wanting that parents to influence that decision.
Thank you.